We are live. What's up, what's up? Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday, isn't it? That's fun. We got legs on deck. You already know. You know what it is. Black and yellow, black and yellow. We have to, let's pull this. Get this over here. All pulled up. Got that. And get this pulled up. Viewers with a keen eye might notice that our stream is looking a little different today, over on Twitch specifically. And maybe not the stream, but the, what's it called? Like the branding and stuff has been updated. Thanks to our pal Uncut Shapes, who did some logo design work and things for us. So shout out to him for getting that stuff all taken care of. But as a result, we have things looking a little different today, which I'm excited about. So slight updates to how things are looking. We'll take it, and yeah, then we'll get into legs. I'm thinking we're gonna do something a bit different. I mean, same exercise selection. We're just going to move some things around in the training for today. So normally we start off with getting right into belt squats. I think for today, after we do a little bit of mobility work and yada yada, but I think for today, instead of getting right into belt squats, our main kind of compound driver for our quads, we're going to actually start with some hamstring curls. And so we're gonna warm up and kind of kick off our leg day on hamstring curls first, because I talked about this last week, got a little bit of a hip thing that's been feeling not great. And part of that could be, weak glutes, weak hamstrings, all of that. So we'll do a little banded mobility work right here on the hips. We'll do some ankles, and then we will warm up with getting into our hamstrings. And so we'll start lying hamstring curls, then we'll get into our belt squats. Then we'll probably do some sort of hip hinge. Not terribly heavy, I'm not thinking. And then leg extensions, calves, yada, yada. And then we'll get out of here. So same exercise selection. We're just kind of reordering stuff a tiny bit based on how things are feeling. I think we just need to get some blood into a different area. So yeah. Ugh. All right. And we'll hop on. Almost fell. All right. Ugh. Man, I did not stay up too late. I think we, went to bed at like 9:30. But that 5 a.m. alarm comes quick, man. Especially when you're just snoozing, and then by the time I finally got out of bed, it was 5:45. And I was like, oh shit, we gotta get moving. So, a little later start today. Oh, probably like 5-10 minutes later than normal. Just hard time sleeping. But today will be better. We'll be back to our right on time for tomorrow for sure. Ugh. And I should be able to do some other slight updates to things, but yeah, shout out to our guy, Uncut Shapes, for updating some of the branding. So the logo's got, the MeatHaus logo got a little bit more color added to it. I think it kind of pops. A little red, which matches the red on the Rogue rack, which none of you can see from this angle, but it's there, trust me. And updated some of the panels on the page as well. Look a little better. So big shout out to him for all the work that he did. And he's on my recommended channels to watch type deal. So yeah. Oh. All right. And we'll do. Whoa. We'll do our. Oh, I forgot to text the homies good morning. Actually, I got called out by my one buddy. He's like, dude, you sent this later than normal. Not this time. We're gonna send it now. Good morning, Kings. Sun emoji. There we go. That's the good stuff. Perfect. Ugh. All right. So we've done some hip mobility, done a little ankle mobility. All right. I'm gonna wheel our bench over and we can get going on some hamstring curls to kick things off before we get into our main compound. So I'll adjust this. There we go. A little lower, slightly lower angle, all that good stuff. And then we'll get this guy. Wheeled into place. There we go. I think. There we go. All right. There's that, and locked in. Perfect. So I'm actually gonna throw on, I don't know, we'll probably start with like 60 pounds on here. My working weight for these is normally like 85, 90 pounds. And I normally do these after I've already done, some sort of squatting movement, some sort of hip hinge, usually after leg extensions as well. So I'm normally decently warm by the time I get to these in a kind of typical training session. So we are going to be pretty intentional with our warm up here. And I went on a walk around our neighborhood yesterday just to get out of the house and stuff, get out and about. And would you believe it if I said my calves were sore after just walking? So that's fun. But I am going to put these knee sleeves on now, just to help lube up my knees, keep things warm. And then, if I get decently sweaty, then I don't have to try putting these on again for our belt squats. So just doing it now. And these are as you can tell, the stoic knee sleeves. I've had these for a couple years. After, a little bit of time wearing them, they're neoprene, right? So they do kind of stretch out, and then you just wash them, throw them in the dryer if you want, or just let them air dry. I just let mine air dry, and they kind of shrink down. That, or maybe my legs are just getting bigger, and that's why these feel a bit tighter. But you could get like Ray-Ban knee sleeves. You could get Inzer ones. There's like tons, SBD ones. There's tons of options out there. Sorry, I hope this isn't loud. All right. So we'll start warming up with some leg extensions. Sorry, I didn't realize, or I forgot I didn't have the mic in my hand. So put this kind of right here. So we have our spreadsheet, and we're gonna do about 3 sets, 10 to 12 on these hamstring curls. As I think about like my physique, as I think about like this gaining phase, things that I really want to build and develop, hamstrings are a big one. When people hit side chest and they've just got those hanging, just meat hammers off the backs of their legs, some big old hamstrings. That's what I'm looking for. Build a nice set of wheels. A lot of people have quads, but if you want to get those big meaty legs, you got to have some nice hamstrings. So big area of focus for me is bringing those up, and yeah. Sweet. All right. So we've got a 35 and a 25, which is for the math people at home, 60 pounds. We'll throw, do we want to put like 10 more pounds on? Yeah. We'll do, because I'm thinking we're going to do 85 as our kind of working weight on these. So we'll go from 60 to 70, and then we'll just jump to 85 for our last set. So we'll do one more warm up on these. So, last warm up, we get these 5s off, throw on another 25, and there we go. Again, don't have the mic. All right, so we have 85 on. That'll be a good working weight for today. Again, 3 sets, 10 to 12. Really trying to prioritize building these hams. I mean, I really think, like, I had I don't know, maybe it was like a high school football coach or something. I forget where I heard this, but it was in my youth, talking about how, you know, people prioritize the muscles that they can see, right? Of course, chest, arms, delts, quads, and kind of neglect the things they can't see, especially hamstrings. And dude, training hamstrings is hard. It hurts. Legs in general are a pain, you know? They're pretty tough, but I think I kind of fell into that trap where was a bit more quad biased in most of my training, and I feel like my hamstrings have lagged behind a good amount. So pretty intentional with bringing them up. I think in addition to, you know, some sort of curl motion for your hamstrings. I know there's some like EMG study that showed seated hamstring curls recruit more hamstring activation than lying hamstring curls, but also like do what, you know, feels good, not just what, you know, people on the internet might say and what's optimal. Find what you like, because then you'll stick with it more than something you don't. But in addition to a curling movement, some sort of hip hinge is pretty important as well. So stiff leg deadlift, RDL, I don't know what other hip hinge, maybe like a good morning, I guess, if that's something you like training, is also going to be very important. And I mean, your erectors are pretty critical to your physique as well. Like if you have big, you know, wide lats, and then you've got like no erectors, like that'll look kind of wonky. So don't neglect your hip hinge movements as well. I'm actually trying to find on Facebook Marketplace, I check like every day for a decently priced back extension to add to the repertoire out here. So I tried doing it on the rack with a barbell, and it did not go that great, admittedly. So. Jump back over here. And just updating our spreadsheet. Okay. Perfect. Oh, again, I'm talking about the mic's all the way over here while I'm getting our spreadsheet updated. So we got one set of these. We'll do two more. Then we'll do our belt squats. Then we'll do our hip hinge. Then we'll do our extensions. And then we'll be good. Actually, we might do extensions, then hip hinge, because then I can get this bench out of the way. And this is like prime real estate that we use for, what will we say? Barbell on the floor based exercises. Go right over here. So, oh, the homies are awake. It's Tuesday. In it. My friends will think that's funny. We like to have fun here. And then, anything from work? I think we got nothing. Oh, nope, I was wrong. 1:45. We got a meeting. That's all good. All right, we'll get our next set ready to rip. Tater chip. I dip, you dip, we dip. Oh. Okay. Okay. Here we go. We're moving. We're changing angles. There we go. Oh, see ya. Good morning, King. Or I guess good evening. What's up, man? How you doing? Here, I'll move. Moving the little command center off to the side. I'm good, man. I'm good as well. Little later start than normal, but just a tough time. Tough time waking up today. But dude, doing good. Doing good. Obviously, I feel like something's biting me. Obviously hitting some legs this morning. Starting a little slightly different than normal. Instead of doing belt squats first, we're actually doing hamstrings first to warm up kind of our knees and our posterior chain a little bit before we get into our main like squatting movement. But yeah, man, last night was just tough. Like waking up was hard. And when I did wake up, you know when you wake up and you know, like, oh, you look at your alarm and you've got to get up, but also you kind of have that voice in your head that's like, dude, you could just keep sleeping, you know? You could just lay here. And that's kind of what I had. It's kind of the thought that I had this morning. Was like, dude, you could just go back to bed. You don't got to get up. And then I thought, don't be a complainer. You can do it. And so here we are in the lights in our laundry room. They're not like a normal, like natural white. They're a bright white. So I always go to our laundry room and flip the lights on, and I like flashbang myself awake every morning because of how bright the lights are. And so pretty much the second those lights destroyed my retinas, I was like, all right, I guess we're up. All right, last set of these. Here we go. We gotta get two more. Come on. Shit. I know the feeling. Isabel to wake up at 6 a.m. and I have this bad habit of snoozing. Yikes, it is so unhealthy. Dude, I do the same thing. Like, my alarm was set for, it's set for 5 a.m. pretty much every day. And I think every time I snooze, it adds like 6 or 7 minutes or something like that. I'm not totally sure, like the exact number of minutes it adds. But the initial alarm went off at 5. I snoozed until 5:45. So I was just sleeping in like 6-minute bursts for almost an hour, constantly getting woken up and then with our son, because he's now sleeping up in his own bedroom, and you know, my wife is the ultimate pro. She's kind of on sun duty during the week because, you know, I have to work and all of those things. So she holds it down with him on school nights, and then Fridays and Saturdays are when I step up. So I know she's gonna be super tired today. So if I have a decently mellow day at work, I'm gonna see if I can give her some time to maybe take a nap or something. All right, so we just did, oh man, my hamstrings. We just did our, I'll probably come back into frame. What's up? So we just did our hamstring curls right there, 3 sets. We went 12, 10, 10. Definitely feeling it. I was actually starting to feel it like in my left calf. I felt like was kind of cramping up. So that was an interesting experiment that we did, but whatever. Now, kind of regularly scheduled programming. We're gonna hit our belt squats. So main kind of quad movement and quad builder for today. Doing my best to not let my hips kind of take over in this. Like, we want our quads to be the primary mover. And so the squat max and the belt squat has been really great. Obviously, if you had a hack squat, leg press, pendulum squat, right? There's a whole bunch of different squatting movements you could do. I know not everybody in their house has a belt squat, or their gym has a belt squat. Kind of a niche piece of equipment, but it's what we have and it's what we use. So, yeah. Oh, you're the person that sets your alarm at 5 a.m. and then multiple alarms 5 minutes apart. Okay, I could never do that. No, I used to kind of like pride myself on being somebody that was like a morning person, and I do still think I am a morning person. You know, like, I think more people would probably default to, like, you know, working out in the evenings as opposed to waking up early and working out. And I used to be that guy. You know, when I commuted to the office and stuff, I would go to the gym at like 6 p.m. You know, I'd take my pre-workout and I'd just be freaking wired until like 11 p.m. every day. And then that all changed. And now I don't do that anymore. Now I'm a morning guy. And now with a wife and kids and all that, you know, I want to hang out with them in the evenings. So I wake up and I do stuff while they're asleep so that we can all hang out together in the evenings. If I leave this computer here, are we going to be totally in the way? Yeah, we are. So this is actually going to go over here. And we'll just keep it slightly off screen. So yeah, belt squats. We'll do about 3 sets. Three sets, about 10 reps. I think we have, let me log our hamstring curls. 10, 10. Yeah, we'll warm up to about 185, maybe 190, and then, yeah. Not a morning person, but you can wake up early, but you know, it's like a genetic thing, I think. Like, being a morning or an evening person, I think they've determined is like, some people are just like more predisposed to one or the other. And I think because, like, in high school, my dad would drop me off every morning, and he would, you know, sometimes he would have to get to the office at like 7 a.m., which meant in high school, I was waking up at like 5 or 6 to get ready to go to school. And then I would like kind of sleep in the car, and then I would just be at school until school started. And even in college, I would prefer to have, 7 a.m. classes instead of like evening classes. I would always try and get all my classes done before like 1 o'clock most days. So I'd have more time in the evenings to party. So yeah, all right, here we go. Just warming up. There we go. When I do these, I'm like crazy bent over, and I'm sure somebody is gonna make a comment about it sometime, somewhere. And that's just the way I can feel kind of my quads the most, actually. Zoom out just a little bit. No, for college, I prefer day classes. I love 7 a.m. too, prefer finishing fast. Yeah, exactly. Dude, it was always the best getting stuff done. Except, dude, one time I had like a 6 p.m. class, and it was like once a week, 6 p.m. because he was like one of those professors that like had like a normal job, and then he just happened to teach a class at my university after the fact. And yeah, it was like a business ethics class that everybody that was in the School of Business had to take. And I was like, dude, we're doing this at 6 p.m.? Are you kidding? So that wasn't cool, but that was only 1 year. Oh yeah. So many people eating in class. And then to make up, I mean, in the US, you have to have like a certain number of credit hours to graduate. And so some classes are worth like 2 or 3 credits. Some classes are worth like 1 credit. And so to fulfill my credit requirement, just to like meet the number, I took a 7 a.m. Tai Chi class, and that was cool. I took a 1 year and 1 semester. I did a like a 1 o'clock yoga class, and that was fun. So all those like elective, like kind of like PE classes, were pretty cool. Tai Chi was interesting. 7 a.m. was a lot. Twice a week. All right. Here we go. Next warm up. Oh, Say his name and he appears. Burr, 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 burr. What's up, Bowser? Good morning. Nursing school, I had a 1 p.m. lecture. I'd bring a full lunch and coffee. Yeah, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do. I totally get that. Bowser, what's up, man? Happy Tuesday. What does that say? Does that say daddy? Thanks, man. Dude, Bowser, do you train? I'm super curious. I know you're pretty active in the health and fitness category. Are you something of a weightlifter enjoyer yourself? Big hot daddy pog? Thanks, man. You're real good for my self-esteem. You and my daughter will go, Papa's so big, Papa big and strong. I'm like, that's right. Papa is big and strong. And last night she goes, Papa's so good at working out. I'm like, that's right. That's what we got. I'll add it to my LinkedIn skills, working out. Oh, dude, there's no One Piece this week. Man, what a bummer. Big true. Thumbs up. Okay, I take that as Bowser, you do train. Very cool, man. Well, it's always a pleasure seeing you hop in with the strongest emote game. So, appreciate you being here, man. Happy Tuesday. Dude, see ya. I messaged you this, but did you see the, hey, see ya, did you see the updates to the channel from our boy Shapes? You know, slightly more colorful logo, some updated panels, all that fun stuff. That's our boy. All right, last warm up, and then we will get into the good stuff. So this is, what, 160 pounds? So still not too terrible, but yeah. Here we go. All right. Okay. There we go. Whew. Oh. The Lego? You mean the logo? But yeah. Yeah, shout out to Shapes. Oh. I think he did a really, really good job. I think it looks cool. I think the little bit of red that he added, I think helps maybe make it pop a little bit. And it's the same red as on the rack. So that's fun. Yes, I think it's fun. I think it looks really good though. I think he's so talented. And he updated all the panels and like the offline stuff and the header, and I need to carry all of that over to YouTube and stuff. But yesterday I had some time to update the stream, and then I installed this plugin that I found so we can record the YouTube video at the same time as the stream. And so tomorrow we will be back, baby. Production. We're going up, up, up. We've got better production. All right. Whoa. And then, what was I looking at? We've got everything good to go. Okay, back to our spreadsheet. Yep, we're gonna do our 3 sets, going for 10. Instead of 185, we'll go 190, and we'll see how this goes. I hear stuff happening outside my door. What is that? Oh, somebody's getting their roof done. Okay. Sorry, I kept hearing like a gunk, 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 and it's people on the, what's it called? People on our neighbor's roof gunning the shingles down because they're getting their roof replaced. I know that noise because we just had a hailstorm not too long ago, and yeah. 190, I'm mad, bruv. I mean, for a belt squat, is this that heavy? I don't really know. I think, I mean, my goal is not necessarily chasing a number, right? Like, I'm not thinking to myself, oh, I want a belt squat like 500 pounds or something. I don't really care about that, but I mean, in terms of like, I mean, I'd say this is like decently heavy, especially for a set of 10, but let's see if we even get 10. Come on. Come on. Okay. Okay. So I'm thinking sets of 8 are what's probably going to be in store for today, and that's fine. To be honest, you don't know, you don't lift. I mean 190 pounds is not, it's not nothing, you know? I think in competition, I think I did like a 448 or like a 444 squat. So in terms of like powerlifting standards, like that's like nothing, really. But I mean, for a set of 8, that's pretty good, I'd say. I mean, this is really only the equivalent of like, I guess on a leg press would be like 245s on each side. Granted, the leverages on this are different and more like closely mimics a squat as opposed to, you know, bracing against a pad in a thing. I don't know. I think it's decent. I mean, for me, I think it's good, but again, I'm not like chasing any sort of leg press number. Like the goal is, first and foremost, is hypertrophy and providing stimulus to our quads to force these bad boys to grow. So we'll take we'll take it. And we said 8. Man, it's getting pretty hot out here. And my legs is sweating. Whew. Sorry, just updating yield spreadsheet. And then in a little bit, we'll get back after it. What are we at? We're at 52 minutes we've been streaming. So when we hit 53, so in one more minute, then we'll hit our second set. There we go. But yeah, happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you're having a good week. Halloween just around the corner. Yesterday was Canadian Thanksgiving. So to our friends in the Great White North, happy Thanksgiving. Okay, we've got about 10 seconds and then we'll get this started. One of the cool things about having the stream pulled up is I can see a timer to help with rest times between sets. Not that I'm like super dogmatic about like, oh, you gotta keep, or maybe dogmatic's probably the wrong word. I'm not super anal about like, oh, anal's an interesting word too. I'm not super fixated on rest times, you know. Obviously I'm not taking like 10 minutes in between sets or anything. We're trying to be, you know, especially on compounds, enough to where cardio is not my limiting factor, right? I don't want to be here getting ready to do a set of belt squats and being like, just like gasping for air. So, ugh. Okay, here we go. Tough. Come on. Come on, one more. Let's go, come on. Okay. Okay. That was a good hard set. Okay, 198. Whew. We're going up. Okay. And then after this, yep, we'll do a hip hinge and leg extensions and we'll be done. So we'll give it, we're at 56:24. We'll give it till 58. So minute and a half, 90 seconds, and then we'll get back to it. But I do think that last set was pretty tough. I mean, I'm sure there's, well, how do I want to say this? If I was training with a partner and, you know, this was a leg press or a hack squat or something where they could assist, that'd be nice. With the belt squat, because the weight's at your hips, going straight down, if I hit a sticking point and can't get back up, like I'm just pinned to the bottom, you know? And because I train alone, I mean, obviously I can grab these handles, but I've talked about this before, like they're too close for me and my leverages. Like I wish they were like 5 or 6 inches further forward from where they're at would be more ideal. I also would probably like it if instead of just being I mean, this would totally change functionally how this works, but if instead of being handles, it was just a bar, so I could grab it here, you know. But I don't know how you would then disengage kind of the weight arms at the bottom for the weight to rest on top of. I don't know, I'm not an engineer. I'm just here to criticize. I'm just here to criticize, mention that I really like this piece of equipment. I use it all the time. But there are some gripes, and I'm sure with versions 2 and 3.0 of this, they've made some improvements. But on the whole, I really like it. I think it's good. Don't really use the bands as much as I probably could. And I don't really use the, what is the word I'm looking for? Hip thrust. Don't really use that all that much either. And that's mostly because of how big of a pain it is to set it up. But I am thinking on our second leg day, we will start incorporating the hip thrust as opposed to just doing more belt squats to get some more posterior chain work in. Oy. And build some nice meaty glutes, you know, some big old buns. So that is a potential shift. We'll see in about a month if that's something we end up doing, but we're not there just yet. We're gonna ride out. I think we're in week 8 of this 12-week block that we've put together. And then we'll either start right back up from the beginning, keep most of our lifts the same, and we'll just keep riding this wave, I think. All right, last set, here we go. All right, instead of here, I wish it was like here. That'd be better. All right. Oh, fuck. Come on. Okay. Okay. That's gonna call it. That was probably a disgusting looking rep. Holy cow. Oh, man. Oh. Wow. Okay. I actually want to, I'm going to rewind that and see how that last rep look. Let's see. That was terrible. Oh, man. Disgusting. That's okay. We're trying to build, some of these legs. I don't think I have bad legs. Just wish they were bigger. Oh, all right. Oh, see ya. A second leg day. Yeah, so there's, how do I want to say this without being like, so like the ideal or like optimal, what's come out is instead of doing, like a chest day, then a leg day, then a back day, then a shoulders and arms day, then a chest, like whatever, right? Like a bro split, like chest and tris, back and bis, shoulders, legs, arms, right? Like instead of doing something like that, the like training frequency, like ideally kind of like the sweet spot is hitting each muscle group 2 times a week. So some people do like pushing movements, pulling movements, then legs. So 3 days in a row, and then they'll do push-pull legs again. So they're hitting each thing twice. 6 days of training is too much for me personally. So I do an upper day, which was yesterday. Today is lower. Then so basically legs. And then we'll do pull, push, legs. So we're still getting all of, the 2 times per week frequency with enough total working sets per muscle group split over, the course of the week to, ideally stimulate growth and hypertrophy and all of those things. So yeah, we do 2 leg days, Tuesdays and Fridays. So it's a bit of a beating, to be honest, but we make it work. Okay, so I don't want to have to move the bench and then like bring it back and all of that. So we're actually going to do leg extensions right now because it's already set up. And then we'll put it away and then we'll do our hip hinge and then we will be done for today, which is good because then that will wrap up in the next 20 minutes. Oh yeah, I see, I get it now. Yeah, I mean, it's just, by doing 2 leg days spread apart, Tuesday and Friday, so that gives, 2 full rest days basically for my legs to recover. And then it allows me to get enough training stimulus in throughout the week to, maximize growth. There is some, auto regulation that I do, like if I'm, like last week, where I was like, ooh, my hip is feeling kind of weird. So I didn't do any sort of like RDL, stiff leg deadlift or anything like that. And so we made up some work by doing more hamstring curls than I typically would do. So there's a few ways we can auto-regulate our training based on how we are feeling. And so that's 95 and 100 pounds. There we go. And for this, we will do about 3 sets, 10 to 12. So I'm trying to building these quads. But yeah, see, I think there's a whole lot of, like, if you choose to get bogged down, or if you want to go like down the rabbit hole of like figuring every little thing out about programming and like marrying up training volume with intensity, with frequency, and talking about progressive overload and like hypertrophy versus strength training and all this stuff, like, dude, there's just like so much to know. It basically boils down to, what is a training program you can stick with that targets all the main muscle groups, right? Are you tracking progress over time? And are you eating enough protein and total calories to stimulate muscle growth? And then once you've done that for a while and you keep making gains in progress, then you can start messing around with all the other crazy nuanced things. But for the most part, train hard, eat enough, sleep enough, do things that you like and that you'll stick to, and that should work. I see somebody chatted. I'm sorry, I can't see that far. Let me do one set of these and then I'll read what you wrote. All right, here we go. Okay. Oh, automatics, nice. My calves stopped growing at 19. I mean, I've tried everything. I mean, dude, as somebody who, first of all, automatics, good morning. What's up, man? As somebody who also does not have, here, where can I stand so where the chat's not in the way? As somebody who does not have, massive calves by any means, and I have pretty high calf insertions, I do wish I was blessed like a Hawaiian guy with just some hams, like a nice Christmas ham as calves. It definitely, I mean, genetics is part of it. Like muscle insertions is part of it, like where your soleus and your gastroc connect, right? So like I have super long this part, and my calf kind of ties in like way up there. I just do like sets of 20, man. So I think insertions are obviously going to be part of it, and then progressive overload, or not, I mean, yes, progressive overload is important. But there was some EMG study where, let's say your foot is in dorsiflexion, right? So how am I gonna explain this? So like instead of being like toes pointed back towards your knees, right? So your heel is lower than your toes. So if you're in dorsiflexion, and going from kind of that bottom motion to basically like parallel, so kind of like doing a half rep, and staying in that kind of lengthened part of the motion, created greater calf stimulus and calf growth. So that's something I've been doing, is like sets of 20. And like we have a 2-story home, so like I'll stand on our bottom stair randomly and we'll just start like banging out calves randomly in our Now, like my 3-year-old daughter will be like, "Oh, Papa doing calf raises," and so she starts doing them too, which is kind of funny. And I think that's kind of worked, to be honest. Is just like higher volume and frequency. Dude, but other than that, like dude, team no calves over here for sure. So, like it'll be 100 degrees out and your boy's still wearing pants. Been there, done that. I'm fine with chicken legs, thighs grow. Yeah, I just tell people, you know, I'm built from the knees up, you know. Anything below the knee is all vanity. So, I mean, all of this is vanity, really, at the end of the day, but yeah. High calf insertions and, yeah. What's crazy is my dad is from the Northwest and did a whole bunch of skiing and stuff growing up, and he cycles like on a bike. And dude, my dad has monster calves. And he's like a very, there's kind of the joke of like, you know, you put on a bunch of weight, right? You're like 300 pounds. And then those guys slim back down and they still have just monster calves. Like my dad is a very in shape, older man, and he has some beefy calves. And then you look at my mom, and my mom's got no calves. So we joke in my family that I got my mom's legs because my dad has monster calves. And he always reminds me of it. He's like, "See this shit?" I'm like, "All right, Dad, cool." I wish. And then he's like, "It's because of all the skiing I did as a kid." I'm like, "All right, Dad." Okay, last set on leg extensions. Here we go. Okay. Whew. All right. Oh, man. Oh. Okay. Quads. Feeling it. You always wanted to try skiing? You know? Oh, like I just mentioned, my dad's a very big skier. I've snowboarded a handful of times. I would not say I'm good by any means. But I've gone, I don't know, maybe like 10 times in my life. And it's cool. It's fun. Have a good time doing it. But I remember I went when I was in like high school, or maybe middle school, with my dad, another buddy of mine, and my buddy's dad, and getting off the chairlift, right? Because you take the chair up to, you know, the run that you're about to do, and you know, the chairs just like kind of keep going, right? And so as you're like sitting up, then as you get to the slope, you kind of stand up, and the chair kind of pushes you down this little ramp thing, or this little slope, and then you can sit and, you know, put your bindings in and all of that. And my buddy's dad fell getting off the ski lift, and they didn't or couldn't stop the chairs in time, right? Because if you fall, they'll stop it so that way, right, you can get up safely and get out of the way. But they didn't get it in time, and the chair hit him, and he broke his collarbone. So I think as an older, I mean, I say older, I'm only 32, but like I got no business now being on a snowboard or skateboarding or anything like that, because I just know I'm gonna fall and eat shit and break a wrist or a collarbone or something. And so I feel like my, I mean, maybe those are considered extreme sports, but my extreme sports days are behind me. So, I mean, I had a buddy growing up, and when I say growing up, I mean, we were in like, I don't know, 4th or 5th grade probably. And he was skateboarding, and he hit some kind of like curb or something, or some like bump in the road where the concrete on the sidewalk wasn't, perfectly flat, and the board flipped up, hit him in the stomach, and he ruptured his spleen as like a 5th grader. And so, yeah, shit. So ever since then, my parents were like, hey, young MeatHaus, you know what you're not doing? You're not fucking skiing, you're not snowboarding, you're not skating, none of that stuff. And to be honest, I don't really blame my parents, because the risk just seems too great. And I'm sure there's people that are, oh, you can't live your life in fear, and kids are resilient, and blah, 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 blah. And while all of those things may remain true, I don't think any kid that's like 10 years old is gonna be like, hey, you know what I wanna do is, I'm totally cool rupturing my spleen, mom and dad. So yeah, not to discourage anybody out there, but yeah, dude, I mean, if you want one more story, I've got a buddy, same kind of thing, grew up, amazing athlete. We played like Pop Warner football and all that stuff together, and he was on a dirt bike, went over the handlebars, and ended up breaking his like foot and ankle, and ended up needing to get surgery. So he had a scar like all up his foot and ankle, and we called it Frankenfoot for my buddy. And dude, same type of thing. My parents were like, hey, baby MeatHaus, you know what you're not gonna do? Ride any dirt bikes. And I was like, hey, wasn't really planning on it. But now I know that activity has already been permabanned from my youthful activities. So, okay. So we're gonna do some hip hinge, not too heavy. Some of you may recall the other day had a bit of a hip challenge, so just gonna hold, do some quick warm-ups. Frankenfoot is such a good name. Yeah. I mean, he's obviously all good now. This is when we were young little boys, little baby humans. And dude, the hip's not bad. I think part of me, as you know, sometimes when I bring this up, I feel like I'm like that guy who peaked in high school and will never stop talking about how he could bench 315 in high school and all that whenever I kind of speak this way. So apologies if that's how it comes across. I have grown up, I promise. But I think back when I used to powerlift, you know, I used to think I need to do as, you know, warm up without a belt as best as I can. You know, I don't need a belt until I get, you know, closer to my working weight, which usually was like around, like I could do 315, double overhand, no problem, no belt, we're chilling. Then once we got to like 365, I would probably throw a belt on. 400 for sure would put a belt on. And so that's kind of persisted in my thoughts about things. And it's a bit of a, I think my own ego kind of getting in the way. And so I've just decided that for every hip hinge movement, I would much rather have a belt on for some additional core bracing. No point in not using straps because the goal is, you know, hamstrings, right? The goal is posterior chain. I have no intentions of doing any sort of powerlifting meet. And so just a bit of a mindset shift to how I approach, I think, all of my training now moving forward. So I think this will be kind of my standard moving forward, is, you know, numbers on the bar and like chasing weight is only going to lead to potential like injury or setback or technique and form breakdown, that kind of stuff. And so I'd much rather not hyperfixate on that kind of stuff, is what I've decided. I also, as I'm looking at this, I feel like the chat might be a little too big, so I might shrink that down a little bit moving forward because it is taking up a good chunk of the screen. Okay, so we're gonna do this. And see, with the hip, I've also been doing a lot of hamstring stretches as well, which has been helping, I think. So, anyways, here we go. Okay. 8:02. Okay, we will do one more set, and then I gotta get out of here. We're quite behind. So, one more set of these, and then we will call it. Excuse me. we will build back up from 135 on our hip hinge. What is this? Okay. Oh. Interesting. Okay. All right, y'all. Last set, and then we're gonna go on and get. Here, I wonder if I do this real quick. There we go. There. Slightly smaller chat. All right. Last set. Here we go. Oh, whomst. Oh, Matt, what's good, man? How are you?
Ugh. Happy Tuesday. Dude, is your meet this month or was it in September?
Come on. Ugh. A week from Saturday, less heavy week than taper. Nice, man. Dude, I hope you crush it. Dude, I'm super excited for you, man. You've got a fan cheering you on. Oh. I gotta get out of here. We gotta get to work. Like, my job. Oy. Oh, Hage Higamin, what's up, man? Happy Tuesday evening. You guys are joining right as we have to wind down. I started just a bit later than normal today. Some slight issues waking up, to be honest. I was telling Sia I snoozed my alarm from, oh shit, that could have been bad. Snoozed my alarm from 5 till 5:45. So my wife's probably pissed that I woke her up again and again and again and again and again. But yeah, it's okay. Ugh. Okay. Whew. Oy. Okay. I mean, not looking terrible. our legs. Do wish we had bigger hamstrings, but that's okay. We're working on it. But y'all, this is end of the stream, unfortunately. It's about 8:10 here on this lovely Tuesday morning. I have a day filled with Zoom calls ahead of me to look forward to. And yeah, we'll be back, same time tomorrow, hitting our pull day. So as always, I know there's a lot of places and ways you could spend your time and attention and all that stuff. So thank you for stopping by the stream. It means a lot. Appreciate you guys. What's this? Getting on. Yeah, exactly. I'm like Mr. Rogers over here as I gingerly take off my sweater and fold it perfectly. But yeah, gotta go help with the kids, shower, get ready, all that fun stuff. Thank you guys for your viewership and support. It really does mean a lot. We'll be back same time tomorrow for poll day. There's, if you noticed, new channel stuff has been updated. There's a fellow streamer named Uncut who did some channel art and everything. So that's been all updated and added. I think it looks pretty good. So big thanks to him. And yeah, it's a beautiful day in the MeatHaus. Appreciate you all. Have good days. See you tomorrow. You all have been great. We've been the MeatHaus. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Finger guns.